do these risk assessments and control these counterfeit parts. Doug?
The DOD used to be pretty good about allowing manufacturers to propose redesigns of circuitry or equipment for things that were no longer on the market. Are they getting away from that and insisting on those parts and no other, or?
Well, did you see the news today?
Some of it.
Because of the cuts in the defense budget, there's probably going to be 2 less aircraft carriers in the fleet.
Oh my God.
So, I mean,
I thought
the answer to your question is,
changes we're going to retain the 13.
it's not going to happen. There are some things that are being redesigned. For example, the OH-58 is being upgraded. They're getting some new processors. We're building new processors for it right now, where they're in the design phase. The F-16s continually get upgraded. But for the most part, most of the weapon systems are not being replaced. They're being upgraded, but they're not being replaced, and they're getting a lot less of them, which means you don't have the production. You know, F-16s, there's probably 2,000 of them in the Air Force arsenal, with another 3,000 or 4,000 internationally. You're not going to see that anymore. You know, B-2 bomber, 21 of them in the arsenal. The C-5, they've dropped that fleet down by 50 airplanes, and they're not upgrading them anymore. They're upgrading them, but they're not building new ones, and they're trying not to go in to a new design. We went in and we did a upgrade on one of the boxes that goes into the C-130. And basically what we did was kind of like the DOD, but we did it internally, and we reverse engineered some of the obsolete parts in there and paid a manufacturer to build them. And that was successful for a while, but now we got more parts that are going obsolete. So it gets to a point where you can't even do that anymore. Now they're looking at a redesign, but Lockheed's doing that on their own dollar, because right now they have so much demand for the C-130 aircraft, it pays, but it's mostly international. It's not DOD anymore, it's mostly international.
Oh boy.
Imagine making parts for B-52.
Yeah, they still do. They're still flying.
When we went to see the Osprey, they told us that same thing.
What's that?
When we went to see the Osprey,
Yeah,
remember, whoever went there?
yeah.
They said the same thing, they couldn't get the parts, they had to reverse engineer.
So, I mean, it's,
I think also the counterfeit doesn't apply just to parts. When I went to the training, I think the DOE training, material search are another thing that can
Yes.
be counterfeit.
yes, yes.
Right?
Yep.
Have you heard much if that's going on much?
It's not as pervasive as the electronic parts is. Right now, matter of fact, electronic parts have moved ahead of the mechanical parts. Like I said, when I first heard of counterfeit parts, it was all mechanicals. I used to review all the guided alerts, and it was always mechanical for counterfeit parts. Well, electronic parts have surpassed that because of the way the industry is going, and nobody inspects them, nobody tests them. But yeah, there are materials too that come in that they're old. They're either out of date and they don't work anymore, but they fudge on the shelf life dates, or they're not the same material. So yeah, that is part of it. It's not as pervasive in the defense industry as it is in the, because a lot of that stuff it's easier to buy from OEMs than some of the electronic parts, because most of that stuff is used by everybody. But the DOD sometimes has these stringent requirements, like wide temperature ranges and stuff like that, and especially in some of the
between failures?
yeah, and especially in some of the older equipment, when they were actually using mil-spec parts, they have more stringent requirements than some of the designs we do today that take advantage of the commercial parts. But yeah, I mean, it's everything, everything out there, anything that they can fudge on, they'll counterfeit it and sell it to you.
Well, one of the big ones for the DOE guys is concrete.
Yeah? So, any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, that about sums it up. While Danny was talking, I was driving on my watch and on my Rolex, and ROL rubbed off and it says TRW.
It's not really Danny, it's a counterfeit chair.
I don't think it sounds like it's as much fun as it used to
But
be.
thank you for coming. Our next meeting will typically,
you know,
will be on the third Monday
When you get to do
of
one, it's a lot of fun.
February, I believe. It'll be
That's
in our
short.
newsletter online.
Problem
Did everybody get
started.
the
Oh, man.
December